Hey there, folks. Jen Bunk here, and welcome to another week of the People Stack podcast. The topic of this week is surviving versus thriving, melting versus molting. We are living in challenging times right now. It is currently April 28th, 2020, and we are still in the midst of the coronavirus challenge. And it's a time where I'm embracing a new normal, and I am ready to look forward to a new normal. But make no mistake about it, we are living in challenging times. We are living in uncertain times. We are living in a time where we are surrounded by fear and doubt and just, in some cases, complete and utter chaos and scarcity. There's so much scarcity that is surrounding us right now. Financial scarcity, time scarcity, sanity scarcity. Like, where is my sanity? I don't have any right now because we're at home with our families, and we're worried about our loved ones, and they're tough times. And I want to acknowledge that, and to also say that this is an opportunity to ask yourself many, many important questions, including, am I melting through this challenge, or am I molting through this challenge? And by that I mean, are you melting? So melting would be kind of like, what the wicked witch of the West. Oh, there's a good tongue twister for those of you guys who have kids who love tongue twisters. Say wicked witch of the West 3 times fast. So melting. I'm melting. Oh no, help me, please. I can't take the heat. Like, that's what melting is. And I'm poking fun at it, but I'm also acknowledging that it can feel really sucky. It can feel really bad because it's like you're stressed. You're on the verge of burnout, or you're already on the verge of burnout, or deep anxiety, or deep depression, or whatever that just really negative, disempowering, emotional, mental state that you go to when you're melting. Everybody has a different version of melting, but that's what I mean by melting versus molting. This is a word that I, in my almost 43 years on this life, on this planet, it's a word that I don't think that I was ever exposed to until a few weeks ago. Just kind of came across it in just random, browsing and things like that. Molting. It's what animals do. They shed the external layer of their skin or their feathers to make room for new growth. It's essentially shedding, but it's the implication, the connotation is that those animals are turning into new animals. They are making room for new growth. They are shedding their skin. And it's an empowering process because those animals get to become even better versions of themselves. What if you could molt through this challenge? What if you could see this as an opportunity to grow into the best version of yourself? And it is going to mean leaving some pieces of yourself behind, some metaphorical feathers, some metaphorical pieces of your skin, of your external shell. And I encourage you to think about which one you want to do and which one you want to claim. There's no right or wrong here. I'm not trying to convince you of anything, except to invite you to at least play, at least try out the more engaging route, which is to molt through this challenge. And I want to talk a little bit more about, how it shows up when you're melting through a challenge. Because I think that the more extreme cases are obvious. And I think what a lot of people assume is that if it's not extreme, then I'm okay, right? If it's not extremely bad, if I'm not desperate, right? I'm not on the verge of complete and total burnout. I'm not on the verge of complete and total depression and just spending all day in bed. So it's okay, it's fine. But that's not ideal, though. If it's just fine, just okay, you're worth way more than that. You're capable of way more than that. So the way that melting can show up is, yes, absolutely in the more extreme cases. And if you're suffering from the more extreme cases, get help, and get help right now. Like, seriously, if you are on the verge of complete and total breakdown, anxiety, depression, trauma, stress, just hit pause right now and reach out for help. Because no one deserves to go through that, and you don't have to go through it alone. But what I want to bring to light is that it's actually the more medium levels, the more moderate levels of melting and stress that people tend to ignore more, and then they can actually get more worse because it's insidious. You don't really notice it. And because you don't really notice it and you think it's just okay, that it stacks on itself over time. And then it might reach a breaking point where you're like, okay, yeah, I need to pay attention to this now. And some of you may have experienced that in your lives already. And that breaking point can be 3, 4, 5, 6 nights without sleep, without good sleep. And that's the waking up period. Oh, wow, something's going on here. I can't sleep. Or it could be something like fainting, where you think you're okay and you're just powering through and no, I'll do this, I'm strong enough, and you faint. Or maybe it's the verge of fainting. Or maybe it's you get really, really sick and you're not one to get really, really sick, like physically ill. Maybe you have an emotional breakdown. You start screaming at people for no reason except for the fact that you are melting. And it's been small thing on top of small thing. It's okay. I can thrive through this. No, it's all right. I'm not thriving, but I want to thrive. And it's all just I'm settling, but it's okay. It could be way worse. It could be way worse than this, and it stacks and it stacks. And it's like those paper cuts that I talk about. It's like 1,000 paper cuts every single. Oh, it's okay. It's just a paper cut. Okay, it's just a paper cut. Until you realize your whole body is covered in paper cuts, and you have an emotional breakdown, and you are screaming at people for no apparent reason except for the fact that you've let it get this bad. And the message is you don't have to let it get that bad. Look, if it's gotten to that point, yeah, get help. Absolutely get help. But if you're on the verge and knowing that it could get bad, it's like you gotta ask yourself those questions. What's gonna happen if I keep this up? If I stay on this trajectory of melting through my days, of melting through my life, of melting through trying to upgrade my career amidst this global chaos, if I keep on this same track, what's gonna happen? And it's not good, but you gotta go there at least temporarily. Because if this melting, if this stress, if this verge of burnout, if this, oh, it's okay, it could be worse, keeps up, you're never going to upgrade your career. You're never going to make more than 10 or 15% than you are now. You're never going to build that legacy. You're never going to have the impact that you're absolutely capable of making. You're never going to have that. You're never going to be able to show your family, your friends, and everyone else what you're capable of. And I don't want that for you, and I know you don't want that for yourself either. So just realize that the medium level kinds of problems that, oh, I can cope through it kinds of problems, can actually be worse, but because we tend to ignore them. When the kitchen's on fire, we do not ignore it. And we fix it and we get help. But when there's like this little noise that's going on in the kitchen, that's like, oh, you know what, we'll put up with it. And then the noise slowly gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And then it gets a little softer again. And then it gets a little louder. And it stacks on top of each other until one day, boom. Don't let that be your life. Don't let that be your career. Because you all deserve to molt through this challenge, to shed your skin, to build a new identity, to step into what you are capable of being and becoming as world-class technical leaders, because I know that's what you want. And if there's one thing that I can share with you, if there's one piece of, if there's one shift that I could invite you to make that's going to help you to really molt through this challenge as opposed to melting, the one shift to make is to realize you are in control. You are in control of the decisions that you make. You are in control of the actions that you take. You are in control of the emotions that you feel. You are in control of the thoughts that you think. You are in control of who you choose to be in any given moment. And that's a lot to be in control of. And we forget that. We forget it. You know, I've been diving back into Stoicism lately and reading the writings of some of the famous Stoics. And Tim Ferriss was the one who first introduced me to Stoicism. And then I've been reading on my own. I've been reading, Ryan Holiday has a great book on Stoicism, and Seneca, the writings of Seneca, the writings of I'm not good with names. Seneca is definitely the one that comes to mind, but there's definitely a lot of other. Marcus Aurelius was another one. Lots of great Stoic writers. Epictetus was another one, and Epictetus was the slave in ancient Greek times. Epictetus, the name basically means acquired. He never really had a name. He was a slave and he was a Stoic. And one of the core tenets, one of the core ideas around Stoicism is to be able to separate what you can control versus what you cannot, and to focus only on what you can control, to take your focus off of the stuff you can't control. You cannot control the spread of the virus. You cannot control, unless you are a world-class epidemiologist or one of the folks who's working on the vaccines. Thank you if you are, right? But if you're not, you can't control when that vaccine comes out. You cannot control what your boss says. You cannot control the decisions that other people make. There's a lot that we can put into that category of what we can't control, but it's not worth it to even focus on it. What you focus on is what I just said. You focus on your decisions. You focus on your thoughts. You focus on your feelings. You focus on your actions and who you choose to be in any given moment. That's how you molt through this challenge, because you realize, oh wow, maybe some of the choices that I've made, maybe some of the actions that I've taken, maybe some of the ways that I've shown up have not been ideal. And you shed that skin and you say, you know what? I'm not going to show up that way anymore. I'm not going to make those kinds of decisions anymore. I'm not going to act that way anymore, and you shed it. Because you realize you do have control over the way that you show up and who you are being in any given moment. That's what I invite you to do. And look, this is a transformation, right? This is not just a simple single shedding. This is something that happens over time. And you condition yourself to be in a continual state of molting, a continual state of upgrading who you are, of becoming the best version of yourself, of self-actualizing, for those of you who are into all of the Maslow stuff and other folks who refer to it as self-actualizing. But that's what it is. It's a process of breaking through your old self to become, every single day, to become a better version of yourself. So if that's the path that you're committed to taking so that you can upgrade your tech career, so you can become the best leader that you can possibly be, so that you can earn that raise and that next raise and that next raise after that, so you can earn that promotion to VP, to the C level. If you want to start your own business and you want to become an entrepreneur, whatever that is, if you're committed to that journey of continually upgrading yourself and molting through every single challenge that presents itself to us, it's time for you to book a call with us, thepeoplestack.com/book. And look, if you're also at a place where, wow, I am definitely feeling like I'm melting and I need some help to thrive through this, especially from the career aspect of it, then it's time for you to book a call with us as well. We can absolutely help you shift from melting to molting. We've helped many of our clients to do that. So the link to book a call with my team is thepeoplestack.com/book. And what you're going to talk about on that call, some people wonder, how do I prepare? How you prepare for the call is just show up coachable. Just like I was talking about, you get to choose how you show up in any given moment. The way that we invite you to show up to this call is to show up as your best coachable self, open to talking about what's not working in your career right now, open to talking about what is working, and open to talking about the dream that you want to create in your career and in your life. And if you show up as the best coachable version of yourself for that call, then it will be the most valuable and clarifying conversation that you've ever had. Because we're experts at this. We know how to guide you through the conversations. We know exactly what questions to ask to help you to focus on what's going to be best for you in that given moment to get value and clarity. So we got you on this, and you're going to show up as coachable. You're going to show up as open to new possibilities. You're going to show up as open to help, because you know that this is not just a one-time thing. It's a journey. It's a marathon. And you know you need help, and you know you need expert help in order to get there. That's why it's going to be the most valuable and clarifying conversation you've ever had about your tech career. It's not just us. We're the experts. We got you. But it's also you and the way that you're going to show up for this call as well. So it's thepeoplestack.com/book. And we're also going to talk about, look, if my team is 100% confident that we can help you build that dream career, we're going to talk about what that looks like. We'll talk about all the details. But if we're not, or if you're just not ready yet, you're still going to leave the call. We're going to make sure that you have so much clarity about what the next steps are for you in your career, that you are going to feel energized to move forward. So book that call today, thepeoplestack.com/book. The message of the day, folks, is ask yourself the question: am I melting through this challenge like the Wicked Witch of the West? Oh no, poor me, help, help, help. Or are you molting through this challenge? Are you shedding your old skin to make way for new growth? You get to choose. What an empowering choice to make, isn't it? Talk to you next time, folks. That's a wrap.